Hi, this is Tony Self with Harcourts Hunter Mason Realty, bringing a tip for renters dealing with their landlords on move out. So this is disclaimer time. I have to make sure you understand that if anything has to do with arguments, disputes, that you always should consult an attorney. And that attorney that you should consult is one that specializes in that subject. So in this case, if you have a dispute with your landlord, you want to make sure you have an attorney that understands tenancy law, that's in real estate. I have some great people you can talk to, but I just want to make sure you understand that what I'm providing here as tips to you as a tenant is not legal advice. Rather, it is my opinion and experience that I have done and when I work with my clients. But when it gets to that point where an attorney is involved on the other side, I always recommend a good attorney, and we have people we can recommend you to. But you always want, it's not bad just to call an attorney or just ask them for their advice as well, just to double check it. But I am not an attorney. This is not legal advice. This is my humble opinion as a property manager of many decades in dealing with returning security deposits all the time for my clients. So that's my disclaimer. On with the big show. So I get this request sometimes, and I am a professional landlord, have been for decades. And sometimes some of our clients or some of the ones who are renting or their sons or daughters, they'll ask for help when they are dealing with a difficult landlord especially on security deposits on move out. And what I suggest is this: the first thing you should do as a tenant is when you do move into the property, I always recommend that you fill out that move-in form. So there's a move-in form we used to call move-in, move-out. Fill that form in, and what that does, you go through all the different parts of the house. And I know it takes a little time, and you're all required to do this through the lease agreement, but it really helps that when you move out, you have, like, here was the condition of the property, and you send that back to the landlord or to the property manager who gave it to you, saying this is where there's additional damage to the property, or there was damage that existed when I moved in. I also strongly recommend you take video and pictures of when you move in, especially if there's any damage noted. If there's no damage, then you don't need to, but I'd still take a video or picture of when you move in, archive that. So when you eventually leave, which everyone does from a rental, you can then reference this saying these are like the condition of it. Now, before you move out, you have a right in California, this is a California one, to have an pre-inspection. The property manager or the landlord is required to go out and walk through the property with you, and also you want to make sure it's enough time before you move out, so if they do find something that's beyond normal wear and tear, that you have an opportunity to fix it. Now, in California, once you move out, make sure that you get it in writing. Text message will suffice that said, I am officially out of the property, you have delivered keys, please reply with receipt. And once they do that, your days start. The landlord has 21 days to reply back to you with the deductions from your security deposit, if any. Now, this is where I see a lot of landlords get in trouble, depending upon how sophisticated they are, or really how cheap they are sometimes. And I do talk to my owners to say, these are items that are beyond normal wear and tear. Now, if I have a tenant that's been there for 10 or 15 years, I'm not gonna ding them for paint unless it's like they did just tremendous damage inside the unit. And even then, it's tough. It just depends upon the extent of the damage and show that. It usually is just like holes in the walls. If they didn't do the nail, when they move out, it should be clean. If you hung any pictures up, it should be all patched up, and the paint should be matched too. And so that's where, and also cleaning is the one thing. A lot of times I have been on so many properties, if we have any fridges, that's like usually the horror show. No one ever cleans their fridge or the oven. And then we have to spend extra with a cleaning crew to get it back to where it was originally. So my advice to you as a tenant, if you're moving out on a property, make sure you take lots of pictures, video, and you send it in writing, say, okay, I moved out, and in California, the 21-day window starts. And what the owner is required to do is reply back with you with your security deposit that you originally signed your lease agreement back to you, and you provide your forwarding address. And they're supposed to provide a form, or at least a itemization, if they deducted anything, and with receipts. Now, if the 21-day window seems like a lot, but sometimes it's not enough depending upon the extent of the damage. And I've seen some real horror shows with tenants that didn't take care of a property. Majority of the time, everyone's really good. And then they vacate the property, it's nice and clean, it's all good. So then you just want to make sure that within 21 days, that property manager or landlord has your forwarding address, and they are obligated to give you an itemization or your deposit back, because that security deposit is your money. It's not the landlord's, it's not the property manager's, it is your money, and it's there to take care of any type of damages beyond normal wear and tear, and if there's owed rent. They have to give it back to you. If the owner does not give it back to you within 21 days, then it's not automatic double. You could get double the amount back in small claims court going against the landlord. It's always a negotiation, that type of thing. But I do see sometimes, let's say here's a scenario, and I see this, the landlord comes back with a whole list of things and it was just overboard. They're charging them for brand new items. This is not like replacement, normal wear and tear. It might be a combination thereof. You lived in the property for 15 years and they're charging you for brand new paint, brand new carpet. It's not, they shouldn't do that. What I recommend is the first thing to do is don't react emotionally. And that's one big thing. Take a deep breath. A lot of times you want to sleep on it. If you get the report back, and sometimes I've seen it where the owner will ding the tenant and take their entire security deposit and then go above and beyond that. And they're not entitled to it. So my recommendation to the tenants is say, okay, reply in writing back to the owner, and it's whatever is on the lease. You'll see in the lease itself, it'll actually have where you're supposed to send official notices to and your landlord, and the same thing with the tenant, but in this case, you move from the property, so it's gonna be the forwarding address, and dispute it. Say, I do not agree with this. Here, by the way, here are my photos, this type of thing, and then this is what I would agree to, or this is what you need to refund me as soon as possible. But do it in writing, professional, it's fact-driven, and then show the proof. So the big tip is be calm, sleep on it, because sometimes it gets very emotional. I understand. It's usually very emotional, especially a lot of tenants. They need the money to go to the next property. And if you do talk to, sometimes the owners won't, they'll try to get on the phone, or tenants in general. I do both sides. If they do talk to you, then reply back in writing. Text will work, email's better. That summarizes what was discussed, and then that way you have it in. So if you were to go to small claims, most times small claims, you'll have documented proof of that. And again, I'm not an attorney, and nor do I play one. This is how I work with that. Another thing too is that if the landlord has an attorney on their side, then I'd recommend you get an attorney on your side. And actually, anytime, talk to an attorney, because they're there to help you, guide you through that. But make sure it's the right attorney. Make sure it's a real estate attorney that specialize in these type of things. And I'm happy to give you some great resources. I got great referrals to some awesome attorneys. But those are the tips. And so this is for the tenants to help them out, because I do see this all too often, because I've been doing this for a long time. And everyone likes to be, most of the time everyone's really good. But those rare circumstances when I see those, this is what I recommend to help you out. Hope you enjoyed that. This is Tony Self with Harcourts Hunter Mason Realty, bringing a tip to the tenants to help them out and to get their security deposit back. All right, thank you much for watching. We'll chat very soon. Bye-bye.